Welcome back. It's time for Mixology Monday and time for a little Manhattan making. Jerry Niven says he's the head of strategery and customer happiness at Snow & Company. We love SNL, right?
Absolutely.
You're a fan of Will Ferrell there.
Oh, gotta be.
Okay, now you're mixing up some drinks for a soiree. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but what are we making today?
We are making a frozen Manhattan. So normally you have something like that is just a regular liquid drink, but we make everything frozen at Snow & Company. So that's what we're gonna make for you today.
Let's get naked.
Absolutely. So the first thing we gotta do is actually you need to make an infusion a little bit ahead of time. So this is just the very simplest way to do it.
So what are you infusing with? You're using
fresh cherries.
Fresh cherries.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of Old Overholt rye whiskey that we've got there. So most of the time people think that infusions are really difficult to do. All it is you take one thing and you put it in another and you let it sit.
So how long would the cherry sit in this?
You let it sit for about 72 hours. So you can just very simply take a glass, cover it up with some saran wrap. You just got to put it in a cool place, let it sit for a while, and all the flavors will infuse in there.
There you go. We'll set that aside. And what's next?
So what we do next is you'll take that cherry infusion, and then you will go ahead and do 2.5 ounces of, sorry, wrong one. The Old Overholt rye whiskey that's infused with cherries. So you'll do 2.5 ounces of that.
Okay.
And since we're going to put this in a freezer, we're not doing it in a glass right now. Then you'll take an ounce of your vermouth.
Okay, so 2 parts rye, 1 ounce of vermouth.
Vermouth, yep. And then you'll use a little bit of Angostura bitters. So it's like salt and pepper for drinks. So if you ever want to make something a little bit, classier, just add a little bit of bitters to it.
So just a little bitters.
Yeah,
not
so
too
it's
much.
A 1/4 teaspoon is what it is, just a couple of shakes there.
What does that add? How does that make add more depth to the drink?
It's just got some really concentrated flavors in there. So they used to be kind of digestive. So people would have that after dinner, and then they realized that they could put those into drinks, and it adds a little bit of extra spice to it.
Fantastic. What's next?
Yep. And so then we're just going to do some simple syrup. Do about 2.5 ounces of that. So simple syrup's just half water, half syrup. So you bring the water to a boil, and then put the sugar in, let it dissolve for about 10 minutes, and you're good there. And then you do 6 ounces of water.
Now, how does adding water to a drink make it better? Some people think, oh, it needs to be strong. Not so.
For a regular drink, yeah, but when you're making frozen concoctions like we do at Snow & Company, you need a little bit of water so that basically this is like the ice. So you're adding the ice as water, and then you're freezing it all together.
Fantastic.
Yep. So what you'll do then is you'll just take this, you'll stir it up a little bit, and then you'll set it in the freezer for about 10 to 15 minutes at a time.
Okay.
And what you'll start to get is this. So you get kind of this slushy consistency. So this is the way they did granitas in Italy for a long time, and that's actually why most frozen drink machines are called granita machines.
I
So
can
you can just
smell. I mean, wow.
Yeah, so the rye whiskey and the aromatics from the bitters there. So make sure you get it off the sides, and then you keep stirring that until it gets to this kind of slushy consistency, and then it's ready for you to go ahead and serve.
So you stir it every 10 to 15 minutes?
Every 10 to 15 minutes.
This is labor intensive.
That's not too bad. You take a little nip, you put it back in, you take a little nip, you put it back in. So it's all good there. And then what you can do is you can get your glassware. We actually use some double-walled glassware that they usually use for coffee, and you can just go ahead and put that in there. Fill your glass up, and then it'll look beautiful like that.
I love it. Now tell us about your soiree coming up.
So soiree is an event that's benefiting the Catholic Charities. It's put on by the Junior Board of Catholic Charities and the fundraisers for Catholic Charities Kansas City St. Joseph, and it's coming up here on the 20th, and we'll be there serving some frozen cocktails for free. And
you can always stop by Snow & Company and have amazing frozen drinks. So many flavors. What are your favorite?
My favorite's the Rockefeller, actually. So I like mine a little bit stronger, but we'll be serving that there at Science City on the 20th.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Let's head over to Michael.